talk about today was my play. I did write home for applause there, so that's quite good. No, there's like two things I want to talk about with it, and hopefully it will like all tie together at the end, but maybe it won't. Yes, so I wrote this play. I did this like 10-week course with the Pravessh Theatre in Edinburgh, and the goal was by the end of the 10 weeks you had like the first draft of the play. So I did it, and they were right, I did. I had the first draft of the play, which was amazing. So I'd written this play, and then I was like, yes, I've written this play, and then I was just sitting there like, oh, okay, so nobody cares that I've written a play. Like, once you've written a play, it's just there, isn't it? You've just written it, like, nobody knows anything about it, nobody's like particularly like, they're like, oh, that's cool, you wrote a play, but no one's like, falling over themselves to like help you do anything with it. So then I'm like, okay, what do you do? So I shared it with Amy, who ultimately is directing it, who's a very good friend of mine, and she like assured me that it was like worthwhile and that she was interested in it. And so then we had, the next thing we did, so it took me like 6 months to like do a table read, which we did in this actual room with like people who stayed behind after after Helene's class on Monday, and we read it, and everyone was like so nice and loving and kind and like yes, and I was like, that was amazing, but also like very where it's like ABW, and it's just like the most open-hearted people, so of course they're gonna like tell you that you like loved your play that you wrote, of course they are. So I did feel good about it, but at the same time I was like still like, okay, I remember Mitch actually being like, for those of you who know Mitch, so this, and he was like, I mean, my question is, why aren't you at the Edinburgh Fringe doing this right now? And then it's so weird actually, Amy did a voice recording of it. I had no plans to take it to the Edinburgh Fringe at this point. But Amy did a voice recording of the play just so I could hear it back afterwards. And at the very end she whispers in it, Edinburgh Fringe 2023. So like, there was like little seeds there. So maybe it was Mitch or maybe it was Amy, but I don't know. Something got put into the air. So then, next thing was, getting to the point now. Next thing was we did a rehearsed reading, which took like me another 6 months to like organise. And then, so we did the rehearsed reading, and that went really well, and I felt really good after that. And people were coming up to me and saying, oh, like the main thing that people were coming up to me afterwards and saying was, wow, that was so brave. Right? You're thinking what I'm thinking, which was, I was like, I could think of myself as a particularly brave person in life. Like if I had to go down a list of adjectives, it was like brave would not be in the top 10. So I'm like, brave. Why are you saying brave? And I remember in particular one friend who was like, that was so brave, and I was like, what do you mean by that? And then so my brain's coming in, right? Because I'm trying to like, my body's telling me you just like had such a good experience, and like I feel like I'm like pretty good at like reading an audience. So I was like, no, people enjoyed it. This was good. Like felt good in my body. Then people were telling me it was brave, and so my head's coming in going, well, what do they mean by brave? I think what they probably mean is bad. What they're saying when they're saying well, that was so brave, what they're really saying is that was so bad. They were so brave for like doing this bad thing in front of people. So yeah, and to be like fair to my brain, like that's not like a bad assumption, is it? Because it is really brave to like stand up in front of a room of people and do something really bad. So I could like see where it was like making the connection there, and I was like, okay, well maybe, but my body was telling me otherwise. My body was like, no, that was good. You had a good experience, you enjoyed it, you felt the energy in the room, other people were enjoying it. Like, so I'm like, where is this brave? Why am I making this? What is this thing that I'm panicking about with this brave thing? And what I've come to realize, or my new theory is, and then you can just tell me if I'm trying to make myself feel better about myself. But I've realized that like I've spent 5 years here doing the thing that those people who came, which a lot of them aren't AMAW people who came to that rehearsed reading, they don't see people doing stuff like that all the time. And I see people doing it every week. I do it every week, and I also get to like hold space for people while they do it every week. And I get to see other people in my class do it every week. They've never seen that before, so to them that is so brave. And I guess I had become so brave in my artistry that I forgot that I was even doing a brave thing. I'd like, what's the right word? I don't know. I'd like devalued my bravery in some way by like forgetting like how brave and a radical thing it was. And I'm using that word more and more when I'm teaching because it is like a super radical thing, and I hear myself reminding other people like what a radical thing they're doing by coming into this room and sharing themselves and opening their heart. And then so that was like a great reminder for myself. It's like, no, you're doing that same thing, and the reason why they're saying that is so brave is because they are seeing that thing that you see all the time and that you're encouraging other people to do. So we got the brave thing. And then, I don't know how many of you here got to experience when Meredith, someone who did, when Meredith was over teaching, and she introduced this, one of the main things she was talking about was that art should be healing. So, and there's like this Ethan Hawke video going around at the moment where he kind of says the same thing, like, there's like this misconception that like artists have to like drag themselves through like broken glass and like go through all this pain and anguish and all like addiction and have all this horrible abuse happen to them, and that's where they generate all this amazing material for their art, and then all their art comes flowing out. And it's like, no, it doesn't have to be like that. In fact, it really shouldn't be like that, especially in this room. Like, we are very anti, like, please don't let it be like that. Your art needs to be healing of yourself. And so this is an example from my play where, so I wrote this play, and then eventually, anyway, after the rehearsed reading, we're like decided we're going to take it up to Edinburgh, and like that's all exciting. So then my parents stay really close to Edinburgh, so obviously my mum hears I've like written this play and I take it to Edinburgh. She's like, oh my gosh, like well, how do I buy tickets? Blah 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 blah. But what you need to know about the play is like it's very like autobiographical, so it's like very like about my family and like, about my work. So I hadn't like fully thought this through, and then she's like, okay, now she's going to come to Edinburgh to watch the thing, and there's like a specific bit about my relationship with her and my relationship with like my sexuality and how we have navigated that or not navigated that together. And it's not I feel like the writing is nothing like, it's in no way a criticism of my mum. It's more like myself and me explaining to my mum like the difficulties I've had around it. But still, I'm like, that's how it reads to me. But like when you're sitting in a room hearing it for the first time from your son in front of a room full of strangers, it might feel slightly different. So I said, well, Mum, I would love you to come. Like, that's so amazing. Thank you so much. But I feel like I want to send it to you first, so that you can read it, and then when you're in a room full of strangers, or hopefully full of strangers, it might just be you, but hopefully in a room full of strangers, you won't be hearing all this for the first time. You'll be prepared for what's about to come. And she's like, okay, great. So I email it to her, like, and I'm putting it off, and I'm putting it off, and I'm putting it off. And she's like, are you going to send me a play? Yeah, I'm sending it to you. I just need to, there's some cuts I need to do to it, so I just want to send it to you before I've done these cuts, because there might be a bit and about you that then gets cut, and then you'll be upset that that bit's not in it. Anyway, so I've done the cuts, and then so I send it to her at like 12 o'clock on like midnight one night, and you don't know it's about my mum, but she goes to bed at like 8 p.m. So I know she's not going to like read it that night. But then like the next morning at like 9 a.m. I get this email because I emailed it to her. So I get this because someone else was like, why is she emailing you? But she just replied to the email, which the play was in, just in case you think I only communicate with her by email. I thought when I've told this story before. And she just sent me this really sweet, lovely email that just said said that she loved it and she was very moved by it, and that she just wishes me happiness and success and all just really nice stuff in this evening. And it's like it's healed it's healed a part of me that's been like hurting for so long. This unspoken thing I've had with my mum, and it sounds a bit extreme to go and kind of play about it to solve the issue, but through my art I have healed this part of me that was hurting for so long. My art really has literally healed me. My art has been healing for me. And to tie it back to the bravery thing, I think the first part, and this is something that Meredith spoke about too as well, is like, in order to heal, right, the first thing you have to do is like acknowledge that you're hurting. Like you have to say, this thing is really hurting me. And then you can like heal it. Like you can't go to the doctor and they're like, what's wrong? And you're like, nothing. And you're like, well, great, okay, see you later. Like you have to go in and say, like, my arm really hurts, sorry. I don't know what's going on. That's the main reason the NHS is overfull of people going with sore arms. No. You have to like say what's hurting, right, for them to be able to fix it. So I'd like voiced, through my writing, I'd voiced this part of me that was hurting, and that allowed this healing to happen. And I think that is like the brave thing, right? When people were saying that is so brave, they were saying, oh, you like showed us all the places where you were really hurting. And that's a brave thing to do, and that's a radical thing to do, rather than just, I'm okay. No, I'm okay, I'm actually fine. I'm okay, I'm fine. We don't speak about this, but it's actually fine. Don't worry about it. So yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to share about my journey with the play so far. I hope that resonates with you. My only panic now is that everyone's going to come up and feel like they have to find some like trauma from where they're hurting, which is also not like the point of the, please don't, that's not the point of the thing, but just know that your art can be your art should be something that refills you rather than like depletes you. Like you don't have to bleed for your art. Your art should be the thing that stitches you back up. Yeah?
Yeah.